our normal man down in the pit lane, Henry. Hello, Henry.
Hello, everyone. How are you all?
Oh, well,
How are you? How are you, more
I,
importantly?
how are you all? Well, there's only one of me, and I'm very good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
We're doing a special one-off podcast in regards to tech and test talk. So it's just about upgrades and everything like that. Looking at the upgrades that the teams have brought along to Spain, and also talking about the testing that happened after the Spanish Grand Prix as well. Most of the Spanish Grand Prix will be discussed in the normal Turn One podcast, which will be following this one that we're doing today. So let's have a look at the upgrades. And I think a team that we could start with is a team that really needed to get on their ball today, and that's Ferrari. They were the ones that were supposed to be bringing in quite a massive upgrade. The engine was brought in last race at Azerbaijan, before the Spanish one, obviously. What did you see when you?
Well, they bought, like you say, they bought the Ferrari engine 2 races early
Yeah.
to Spain, which was so they brought it to Spain, which isn't a power sensitive circuit. They just left it alone and brought it to Canada, which is obviously 2 races time from Spain. It'd have made more of a difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel anyway. But they brought it early. They wanted to obviously test it and use it and see if it is reliable enough. I think they've got their answers. It is reliable enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be quick enough? Is it quicker than Mercedes? We don't know, because obviously Mercedes are better for downforce than Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
So Canada will probably be the best.
So this engine that Ferrari have bought, have they sent it across their customer teams as well? Haas and Sauber, did they have Alfa Romeo? Sorry, Sauber. Oh, slip up there. Freudian slip. Did they receive the same engine upgrades, or was it exclusively for Ferrari this race?
Haas and Alfa didn't have the new engine.
Oh, right.
However, it is available for them if they want it in Monaco.
So they can take it at a circuit that isn't power sensitive.
Yeah. Or if they don't want to take it at Monaco, they can obviously take it at Canada. So it's there. It should be in the system for them if they so wish to take it.
Right. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So that's what it was looking at. What about the actual aero package? What differences did we find on the aero package with Ferrari?
With Ferrari, they brought a new engine cover, which had a new longer tail, and they also brought a new front wing with revised end plates. But what you will see is they've got their front wing is different to Mercedes' front wing. So Mercedes have gone with a front wing that helps with downforce.
Yeah.
Ferrari have gone with a wing that uses the air it sends the air all over the car to keep it, balanced, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it makes sure the air goes around all the parts of the car and it energizes all parts of the car, which is fine. But when you go to tracks where you need downforce, you're losing that downforce, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're reducing drag, but the consequence of that is that they don't have the cornering ability for when they need it for tight corners.
Exactly, and that is where they are, and that's why Sector 3 of Spain they were behind Mercedes, if that makes sense, because the Mercedes car has got the perfect downforce level, if that makes sense. Well,
Yes,
not perfect, but it's
one of the best.
It's good enough to get it through that section, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you say about this engine cover. What's the difference with the engine cover that they've got then?
All I know is it's just a longer tail. So I know that I think Haas used it. How Haas had one similar on their car, because I know they brought a load of upgrades. They went different this year to last year, or what they normally do.
Right.
But also Ferrari, Shell brought lubrication as well. Some new lubrication 2 races early. So obviously Canada would have been new engine, new lube, but they brought it 2 races early.
Right. Okay. So they and obviously this was the opportunity to kind of show what they made of, wasn't it? To go against Mercedes.
They were quick in Sector 1, which is quite fast corners, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously you got the pit straight, Sector 1. You got the first and second corner, which is sort of like a chicane thing, and then turn 3, which is basically flat out, which is fine. But obviously, then in the middle and end sectors, there's a lot more slower corners, so that's how far it just dropped off.
So what was their kind of advantage over Mercedes in Sector 1 then? Have you got any times for that at all?
I don't know, to be honest.
No? Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's absolutely
Well,
fine. You can tell I've done a bit of training at my old job by asking these questions.
I can, yeah.
So Mercedes, so Ferrari engine upgrades, some aero upgrades. They've got
Yeah.
the Shell coming in with the new fuel and lubricant system.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much see what happens in Canada. That's pretty much what we're looking at, really.
I would say look at Canada because, as we know, Monaco isn't a fast track.
No,
So,
Monaco's all about who qualifies first.
yes, it's who's got the best sort of downforce package, who's got the best acceleration.
Yeah.
It's all slow corners. And I won't be surprised if Mercedes do well this weekend. I know they've struggled in the past, but they've been working on slow corners, so they could be the team to watch.
Okay, let's move on. Mercedes, speaking of the team to watch, Mercedes. Obviously, when we talk about the main performance, we say about cracking. They're still leading the way. Cracking performance in Spain, which we'll get onto on the main podcast on Saturday. But what about the upgrades that they've brought along? It's more of an evolution of the car more than revolution, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And what we don't realise is that the Mercedes have consistently been bringing upgrades to the car.
Yeah.
They have cut, since obviously testing where they were slower than Ferrari, they have cut so much drag out of that car. Yeah. So it might not be perfect, but if it's not in the perfect window, they've got more of a scope to get, to sort of be quick. Or, if the tyre's in the right window, if the car will get it into the right window in, 2 or 3 laps. Or if the balance is out, give it 2 or 3 laps and it'll be, not perfect, but, it'll be damn good. Whereas Ferrari don't, because they're missing the downforce, they can't really, they've got a shorter window space to operate in. But you want to know what they brought? They brought some new upgrades, obviously. They brought some new mirrors.
Right.
Which is quite interesting because you can't see out of them, to be honest. I don't know why they've got mirrors, but, they brought mirrors.
I was going to say, did they bring them after Danny Rick reversed into Kvyat? Did all F1 teams say they have to actually bring mirrors to their cars?
Well, yeah, they could have done, to be honest. I know that I know we talked about Williams later on. They brought, I think it was them. They bought some new mirrors, but they weren't allowed to use them. I could be wrong. I could have got the wrong team, but I'll find out more for.
Is that Mercedes or Williams?
Williams, I think.
Williams.
But let me find out. I'll find out more information, and I will in the next podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we talk Spain, I'll let you know for certain. But I think it was Williams.
Yeah.
But they bought some mirrors, and they were illegal or something. There's something wrong with them, so they couldn't. They used them for one test session, and that was it.
Wow.
But yeah, Mercedes. They also brought a new barge board.
Yeah.
Which was new barge board arrangement, which is aimed at the airflow. Getting the airflow into the side pods. Yeah. So they're trying to get more air into the side pods, and they also brought a new front wing.
Was there any? I heard that there might have been not these, but one of the teams, was it Mercedes or Ferrari? Did they bring a new floor at all? Did they have a new floor?
Floor, I think new floor. I've got Haas had a new floor. Haas had a new floor.
No probs. Well, let's move on to the Aero Kings of Formula One, and that is all hail King Adrian, and that will be the Red Bull.
Yes.
Red Bull are the Aero Kings, all thanks to Adrian Newey. They must have had radical changes to their car, really. I know they said
not radical changes. Okay, evolution.
Okay, but again, an evolution, yeah.
Yeah, so they I think I don't know if they've been bringing small bits or what, but Christian Horner used the word subtle upgrades.
Right.
And he also said they brought front wing upgrades.
Right.
They were focusing on the front end of the car. Because obviously I know they struggled in certain tracks like Bahrain and stuff, so they were focusing on the front end of the car.
So it's to tackle the fact that they were getting understeer in the
Yeah,
corners and counteract that. So they got the
yeah,
back. They think the back is balanced, but the front obviously is not because they're getting tremendous understeer, and that's where they're losing the time.
yeah. Well, they normally quit. They were normally quick in Spain anyway in
Hmm.
previous races there, so it would make sense for them to bring something again to Spain this year.
So what differences did they bring in regards to the front wing? Is it? They say subtle. Is it going to be a case of it's very? It's something that Adrian you would notice, or is it actually quite noticeable on the car that you can see compared to like Azerbaijan and Australia? You know, the flyaway circuits.
All I know is they said it's an evolution.
Hmm.
They did focus on the rear wing as well. I didn't say that. They focused on the rear wing as well.
Right.
The developments were focused on, and I've got Horner's quotes here, different aspects of balance on degradation and all of those things.
Right.
Because in Azerbaijan they struggled with tire warm up,
Right.
but their race pace was quicker than both Ferrari and Mercedes.
That's unusual for Red Bull to struggle with tyre warm up. They're normally one of the
Yeah,
first to switch on their tyres. So the
yeah,
balance and uh, and tyres, yeah.
yeah. They also, I will say that they run a new barge board package in Australia.
Ah, was
So
this the double boomerang that we've heard about?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they weren't the only team that did that along the grid, weren't they? So
No.
there was a
Yeah.
couple of teams that did that.
Yeah.
So that's Red Bull. Let's look to fourth in the constructors' championship, which has to be the team that I'm ever so biased about, McLaren. Again, the words coming out were more of an evolution rather than a revolution. But apparently, according to the new boss, the data they're coming back with says it's all looking good. It's actually working on his car compared to when they brought the updates to the 2018 car. It seems to be all working well.
Yeah, but you have got the best engine in the back of that, haven't you? You've got a Renault engine in the back there, mate. So you should be fine, to be honest. There, you've got a decent engine there compared to when you had Honda. McLaren, not too much information coming out of McLaren as to what they brought, but they brought a sprinkling of new parts across the car. I like that terminology, sprinkling, sprinkling. There you go. So they bought obviously few parts
Well,
to the car.
I know for a fact they bought the boomerang barge board, very similar to Red Bull. They
Yeah,
bought that. They've got the new front wing, which dips down. So everyone else, so they started off with the wing where it was all going nice and pretty much horizontal. But now they've
yeah,
taken the Ferrari approach, where it curves downwards towards the end plates. So
yeah,
they bought in that. That's the only things that I tend to notice with that. Apart from the
yeah,
shark fin at the end's changed as well. They've moved away from just the little kind of hexagonal
yeah.
shape to more of a traditional shaped shark fin.
Yeah. Yeah, what we need is some pictures really of what they had before Spain and what they had after Spain. And then that would be using pictures from Sky Sports or Channel 4 or whatever, whoever hosts the race. We'd have to get permission for them, wouldn't they, to use their pictures. So
Yeah,
I'd love to
that's
say we've got pictures. I'd love to say we've got pictures, but
no, that's
whatever.
true. It would be nice to say we've
Yeah,
got pictures, but we have to go with what we've got, which is the voice all.
yeah,
But yeah, like I say, I mean, having a look at some of the pictures that you can see online, which anyone can Google, and it's all
yeah,
free to see online when it's on Google.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you can see that the shark fin at the back is a lot more normal. So it kind of goes along the top and then just drops down at a slight 30-degree angle. And then you can
yeah,
see that they've still got their. Well, McLaren were the first to do this slatted rear wing. So where the rear wing comes out before it dips in, you've got parts of it that come off to help with aerodynamics. So it seems like other teams have actually adopted that.
yeah. They also bought a new nose.
They have.
Uh,
I don't know where
I
to
thought
go
as
with
a
that one.
McLaren fan, you would tell. I thought as a McLaren fan, you'd be like, they brought this, they brought this, they brought this.
I
And I
told you.
went, they
I told
bought
you
new
before we started
names.
this. I haven't done any research for this one at all. I've just gone straight into this blind. I should have done a bit
You
of
just dug
research,
deep
but
in, haven't you?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But they,
Alonso, did Alonso test the car in free practice for McLaren?
oh, I think he did, didn't he?
Because he said
Norris has done it because I can see the aero paint on it.
he said it made the F1 car much better. But he's not even driven the original one this year, has he? I don't think so.
Well, he has driven this car. He did it for Pirelli testing, didn't he? So
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
yeah,
Sorry, yeah, he did.
so
So he
he'll
did.
know how the car feels compared to its
Yeah,
predecessors, the MCL 33.
yeah.
So yeah, and the other bit of news, which obviously we might get onto when we come to on Saturday, is the news that broke a day ago, which is Petrobras, the team the company that supplies the fuel and lubricants for McLaren, want
Mm.
out of their deal. They're looking to break the
Hold
deal.
on, hold on. It's not they want out of the deal. Do you remember we talked about Rio and the president saying he wants to build a track in Rio from 2020? It's going
Yeah,
to be. But I think it was another tweet from Mr. President to say Petrobras should end their deal a year early.
right.
So yeah, so whether that is true or not, I don't know. Whether it's just him, because I don't think Petronas have actually complained that they're sponsoring an F1 team. I don't think they've had any issues, have they? You know,
No, the tweet did say that to pay X amount million of dollars just to have your name on on a helmet that you can't see. Well, that's not true either. It's right below the Renault badge on the
yeah,
side of the car. You know, on a
exactly.
prime
Yeah, exactly.
part of
Yeah,
the car.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's not as if they're losing it. But yeah, I mean,
Mm.
what are the options then? Did they negotiate
Um,
with Renault to go back to BP Castrol?
well, yeah, I guess so. I
Mm.
guess that would be the way they would go. If this is obviously if this is true,
Yeah,
we don't know if it's. But I also believe that I can't say the name. Petronas are
Petrobras.
they're the regional on their regional partner for F1 as well.
Uh,
So it's not like
Petrobras
that.
is obviously it's Brazilian, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's owned. It's nationalized petrol company, so petroleum company.
Well, we just have to wait, and watch this space, won't we?
Absolutely.
With that, to be honest.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
absolutely.
if Petronas does go, then you can just go to Renault and go, we're using your engines, can we use the lubricants that you use? And you might get a bit of extra time out of it, I don't know.
That's
That's the
true.
thing. We don't know what lubricants, how decent lubricants are working on, say, cars. So,
Yeah. So let's have a look at Haas, our fifth team, Haas. You
yeah.
said that, just going back a couple of minutes ago, that it was they bought a new floor. What other upgrades have Haas brought along?
Right, Haas, normally at this time of year, they're just being small upgrades.
Yeah.
This year, they went out and bought quite a few upgrades. So, as we said, they brought a new floor out.
Hmm.
They brought a new front wing, new barge board arrangements, new mirrors. They didn't use the Ferrari engine, which we've said, and which we've said that they will have the option at Monaco. Now they did. Karoon was looking at this Haas, and he did say it looks very similar to the Ferrari.
Right.
Their tail cover looks very similar. Blah, 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 blah. Their tail fin
Yep.
cover, engine cover, looks very similar to Ferraris. So we wish stress that Haas buy as many parts as they can, as legally allowed to as they can without breaking the rules from Ferrari. Which I'm quite fine with that, to be honest,
Yeah.
because they know they know their limits, if that makes sense, and they know, well, if we build our own car, it could bankrupt us.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them to go out and buy parts from Ferrari. And I know Racing Point said last year that that's what they were looking to do.
Yeah.
So as long as they don't become a B team, I think the worry is that Racing Point will become Mercedes B team, and that would mean that the front three teams have a B team in the series. And I don't really want B teams, to be fair.
No, I don't think anyone wants B teams really. They want it to be teams that are individual funding themselves and
Yeah,
yeah, competing on the same stage.
yeah.
So
I mean, we know that they upgrades worked for Haas because they were nearly as quick as Red Bull, if not quicker than Red Bull.
yeah, absolutely. I'm just
Interesting.
yeah, there's a good picture on Google, which obviously anyone can actually see of that Haas, and the part that you can talk about that rear. The shark fin, it does what you say. So, if you imagine that you've got the air box coming in, and it slopes nicely down towards the tailpipe. That's the main thing of doing it. Now, imagine that as you start going down the slope, you start going up like a hexagon. So you go up a little bit. So you kind of run up level, and then you've got a nice straight line, and then it's down. Very, very, very similar to the Ferraris board, particularly with that bit in the middle where it kind of looks like a hexagon's just slabbed itself straight into a Formula One car. You know, they left a sheet of plywood there. That's the best way to describe it, really. Very, very similar. And you can see that the intricacies of the front wing, they're starting to get, even though they're simplified, they're starting to now get to that point where they're starting to make them more intricate. Especially where there's a part near the tyre, near the front tyres, they've got the veins that split off, and you can see that the 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got the 4 elements on there, but the top one's kind of up slightly more. So it bends down, then you've got a bar that breaks it, and then it's just lifted up slightly more, just to try and help to get that air around the tyre.
Exactly. And obviously, in testing, Grosjean started with it on Friday, and Magnussen had the old spec, and the engineers could do comparisons side by side. But he did have, if it worked well, he did also have parts there, the new parts as well. So they obviously bolted it onto his car as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say they obviously has been struggling to get heat into the tyres and stuff, haven't they, this year?
Yeah, they really have.
You know. They're good at over one lap, but in the race they've been not so good.
No problems. So let's have a look. There's so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams we've talked about. Let's look at Racing Point. Now, Racing Point are a bit of a weird phenomenon at the minute because they've got the money now, but they're still kind of running the Force India car as we know it. I think they said that they're looking at Germany, the German Grand Prix, as major upgrades, probably pretty much their B-spec car or their A-spec car as Racing Point. How do you find that the upgrades have gone here in Barcelona? Because they failed to make the points this race. Obviously, we'll talk about that in the next podcast. But how do you think the upgrades have gone?
Yeah, you said they didn't obviously get the points, but he come out. Not Stroll. Lawrence Stroll come out and said that the money won't actually get into the Racing Point system until next year. We won't see the benefits of his money till next year, obviously, because then next year they'll have their own car. They'll be able to design their own car with a little bit of extra money available to them. They've brought a new. What they did do, they brought a new motorhome thing to the Spanish Grand Prix.
Wow, the money's been spent there.
Oh, it looked quite nice because if you go to f1.com, they've got a video with Sergio Perez walking people around it. Just throwing it out there. If you want to have a look, it's there. But so they focus on the front end of their car. So they brought mechanical and aero upgrades. So they're just focused, like I said, they're just focusing on the front end of their car, to be honest. And I think they've got a bigger update coming later on in the year, as you've said. But yeah, they were just focusing on the front end of the car. So
I'm just having a look at the Racing Point motorhome now because I just typed it into good old Google, and they look like they've just put loads of shipping containers on top of each other, whereas the old Force India one's got a bit of curve to it. What the hell have they done? They've ruined it. They've lost that nice kind of looking one to boxes.
Maybe it's just an in between one till they get something decent.
Right.
You know, I would hope, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, the McLaren one's what, 12 years old now,
Yeah,
and that still looks nice.
yeah, exactly. And Red Bulls has
But
just it is boxy, but it's got good cladding. It's got that kind of
they brought a new one, didn't they? They brought a new one
yeah,
to
that looks quite nice to see. The
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 name they
Red Bull
gave it
one,
means the wood house or something like that. And
yeah,
it took him 32 hours to build, and because you only get a certain slot, you only got a certain size,
hmm
because obviously the pit lane's a bit tight, so you don't have a great deal of thing. Because they've managed to put two teams together, I think it goes over what the normal size would be.
yeah,
Because obviously they've got Toro Rosso with them, so they've incorporated two into one.
like they did last year with their like
Yeah,
they've done with their previous ones. So they're both
and
Red Bull
it
teams.
and it looked really nice inside. We have to
Mm.
say it looked really nice inside. It looked nice on top.
Yeah,
So it looks nice, and it'll be in Monaco.
fair dues.
It'll be floating in the harbour.
Yeah,
You know, like the energy station does.
yeah.
That'll be their new energy station.
Oh, nice. So, not really any significant other than new motorhome Racing Point. Not really any significant upgrades then.
Just mechanical and air upgrades. Like I said, they're just focused on the front end of the car. But I think they'll be bringing, more upgrades later on in the year, as you quite rightly said. To be honest.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Alfa Romeo, the reinvigorated Sauber team of previous. What are we looking at in terms of development? What have you seen in regards to development for the Alfa Romeo so far?
They didn't bring a lot to the car, like that you could see, if that makes sense.
Right.
They focused on fine tuning the car
Okay.
because Kimi thinks it is a great car, that you just needed fine tuning. And he's a mechanic, so he would know.
Yeah.
Because, we should say that Kimi is very good at going into detail with his engineers as to what he wants from the car.
hmm
So he'll go into every aspect of that car. He looks his car to front end. He wants plenty of front end grip on that car. And if he gets it, we've seen it with the Lotus and on Fantasy Lotus, he can get podiums and stuff. I don't think he's going to get podiums in the Alpha unless there's a big crash and 5 of the top 6 crash out.
Yeah.
But he'll start to score points regularly. If that car is pretty good at most tracks, he will get points regularly.
Yeah.
And
So,
obviously, we should and Giovinazzi alongside him. They
yeah.
did say in Baku, didn't they? They apologised to him in Baku, saying that it's their fault, not his fault, that he's not really he's not been able to show his talents or whatever. And then in Baku, we got a 10-place grid penalty. So
Yeah. Not the best, is it, really?
no. So if he gets points this year, he'll do all right, Giovinazzi. To be honest, there's no pressure on him really because Ferrari should give him another season.
Yeah.
There, and then that gives, and then Mick Schumacher can have another season in F2 or 2 seasons in F2 if he needs it.
hmm
And then obviously if Giovinazzi doesn't do it next year, then they could just go, sorry, we're letting you go. Ferrari can just say we're letting you go. But so could you see a lineup of Charles Leclerc and Giovinazzi?
I could. I think that'd be a very strong pairing, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
but
Because I think this could potentially be Vettel's last season at Ferrari, in my honest
you
opinion.
don't think he's going to be there next year then?
No, no.
Okay, where's he going to go then?
Um, I don't know, but I think Ferrari will oust him.
I'll tell you what I think. Yeah,
Mm.
if Jules Bianchi was still around,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be there.
No, definitely not.
He wouldn't be there because they would have got Bianchi was the one. I think Bianchi would have been in that car even if they put Bianchi in that car alongside Vettel and left Charles Leclerc where he was.
Yeah.
I still think last season they would have. Not saying that I'm not saying that against Vettel because I think he's a good driver, but they would have gone. We'll get you if you don't. We're going to get rid of you for Charles Leclerc or Jules Bianchi, whichever one's not driving for him. But I think he'll be there. I think next year will be when he goes.
You think next year?
Yeah, I think next year he'll go, and I think that leaves Ferrari. They've got to get a number one driver in who can lead the team. But so who can they realistically go for? Is Hamilton really going to leave Mercedes to go to them? If he wins, obviously this year and he wins next year, he could leave the sport altogether because he's got 7 then, hasn't he? He could leave the sport altogether,
Yeah,
job done, retire or bikes or whatever.
yeah.
He could go to Ferrari. He could go to Ferrari, but I don't see Vettel going to Mercedes. I don't see Mercedes going for him. I think Mercedes, if Hamilton goes, Max Verstappen to Mercedes,
Hmm.
which if that happens,
Yeah.
that means that Ocon will have to leave.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they might get on because I don't think Ocon will get the seat if Bottas is on a 1 year contract, and it all depends. Him staying there all depends on 2 things. Number one, that him and Hamilton don't crash
yeah.
into each other. And I would think that even if it was Hamilton's fault, they'd still try and blame a little bit on Bottas. And number two, that after the season break, he's still in this form. Because we know that Hamilton ramps it up after the season break.
Yeah.
If he's closer to his teammate this year than Vettel, then he'll get another 1 year deal. And then they've got to try and find a space for Ocon to go into.
Right.
And I don't think there's going to be many seats this year because I can't see Renault changing their lineup and I can't see Haas really changing their lineup.
No.
Williams,
Williams has the potential because it's Williams and
yeah. I should
um,
apologise. I should also apologise because I called Kubica shit. So I should apologise. So Robert Kubica, if you're listening, you're not shit. Okay.
no. Absolutely.
I see. I was going to say, what about Pascal Wehrlein to Williams? But I don't know.
Mercedes driver.
He's
Yeah.
not a Mercedes driver though. He's not a
Is
Mercedes
Verline?
driver.
I thought Verline was a Mercedes
No,
driver.
he left the Mercedes umbrella because he was linked with Toro Rosso. And one of the rumours
Right.
were that Toro Rosso wouldn't go for him because he was a Mercedes driver.
Right.
He left Mercedes,
Yeah.
and I believe France wanted him in that seat, wanted him in Toro Rosso,
Mm-hmm.
but Dr. Marco said no because he's a Mercedes driver, or an ex-Mercedes driver, and said no. And instead they went for Kvyat. And Kvyat actually has looked decent this year. He looks like a changed man.
Yeah.
And it's not often I say that, but if he gets points this year, he gets a few points in. He's done a good job for them this year.
Yeah. Okay.
He won't win a world title, but you know. But that's my opinion. I think if like I say next year, Hamilton either retires or goes to Ferrari, Max to Mercedes.
Okay. Right. So that's what you think. Okay. That's fine by me. We weren't going to talk about predicting drivers, and I'm certainly
No,
not going to predict at this precise moment. But yeah,
no.
why? I'll leave it to Saturday's podcast. Got things to talk about
Yeah.
then. Let's have a look at. So we've done Racing Point, we've done Alfa Romeo. Let's talk about Toro Rosso.
Toro Rosso.
Toro Rosso.
I have about a sentence for Toro Rosso.
It does
Okay.
say it's a good book or something like that. Yeah. All right. Go on then.
Toro Rosso, they have been rolling out developments throughout the year.
Yeah.
So they're not like most teams. Most teams like to do it like Spain's normally the first one. It's all upgrades for Spain, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And then some teams will bring upgrades to Germany or France or whatever. But Toro Rosso have been rolling theirs out throughout the year, but I believe they brought a new rear wing to Spain.
Right. Okay.
And that's probably about all they brought, to be honest.
So they've bought a new rear wing even, and that's about it, really.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can get you more information on that.
That would be cool.
That's about.
Don't worry, the podcasts aren't always this unorganised.
No.
They're always this unorganised. Uh, we'll,
I can't seem to find anything.
you can't seem to find anything.
No, I know on Autosport, they mentioned what I just mentioned.
Yeah. What about something
Um,
like? Well, you know your sources, so I'm not going to say it over the airwaves.
there is if people actually want to see all see the Mercedes and Ferrari upgrades. Is it? Hold on. Well, Mercedes upgrades anyway. Pictures of Mercedes upgrades. Go to motorsport.com and they've got pictures of their upgrades,
Right.
but they haven't got anything about Toro Rosso or anybody else for that matter. They've got pictures of Ferrari, but they haven't got anything else. So
That's
yeah,
it.
if we just say they brought away a wing, we look all right, yeah.
Yeah. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
If it's something we've missed, it's something we've missed. We can always cover it on a different podcast,
On the,
maybe on
on
Saturday
the next,
for.
yeah, on the next podcast we can always cover it.
Yeah, exactly.
See if I can
So
get pictures for Saturday. See if I can get some pictures for Saturday, maybe.
yeah, that'll be good. If we can get some pictures, that should be good because then we can use them quite because there's something under the commerce license that if you use it for criticism and stuff like that, we can get away with
Yeah.
it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I've checked my laws. I know what to do.
You know it all.
Well, not all, but have looked into it.
Yeah.
For-
You're now the lawyer, yeah? If anything goes wrong, you're the lawyer, yeah?
No, I'm not the lawyer. If anything goes wrong, we just get taken off the air. Simple as that. Or we
Yeah.
redact or take off that podcast. I don't think it's going to be too much other than that, is it? We're
No.
not. It's close with the prediction run. I'm just doing the prediction things whilst we're talking at the same time.
Oh, yeah, I got that wrong, did I?
You got that wrong big time. You got 2 points for saying that. I got 2 points too. So just having a look at what people have got.
Who was the idiot of the week in Spain then?
Lando Norris.
What did he do?
He took out Stroll.
Oh, he did, yeah, he did. No, but that could be classed as a racing incident.
It's the only thing we had going. So it's Lando Norris.
That's the only thing we had.
Let's face it. When we talk about the Spanish Grand Prix on Saturday, it's going to be 15 minutes talking about the Spanish Grand Prix. You're filling in the news for the rest of the race, and then we're talking about any other business afterwards. So we got a lot of dead air to fill in on Saturday.
Yeah, but if you you know that postcode I gave you. Obviously, what I should say is admit that I DM'd Tracker yesterday with a postcode, and said, "How far away do you live from that postcode?" And you said about an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
You live in so that's the other side of Rotherham. Yeah, that postcode.
Yeah.
Or near Rotherham, should I say? But if you're ever nearby there, just see if you can get some pictures.
I'm gonna do a. Well, thanks for spoiling. A, thanks for spoiling that. B,
Sorry.
I'm actually gonna do like a little bit of a journalistic piece, about 2.5 minute piece on it.
Do it.
I'm gonna do a professional one that we can show on the podcast in part 2. So
I'm just wondering if you contacted said team or company, whether they would let you in and have a little chat with you as well, because they're still in business in other forms of motorsport.
I could have a contact with them, see what they say.
Just throwing it out there. I hope to be doing something as well.
Yep.
Jack, as you know,
I
in the
know.
DMs.
Yep. It's all very secretive, everyone who's listening. It's all very secretive.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
I might have to edit down this podcast a bit so this part gets taken out.
Yes,
do
that.
Before I do that. Because
for legal reasons, obviously, I can't say too much.
Yes.
Because I will be breaking, But yeah, well, edit
You've signed an NDA with me, yeah. So.
Yes. Yeah, we're fine.
we're fine.
But on that thing, I will say one thing. Somebody was there about 6 months ago. So that's what I'm going to say.
Right.
Somebody did a video about 6 months ago. That's it.
Right,
That's
okay.
it. Cut this bit out, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I will. I'll make sure that this part's cut out. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just do this. Right, okay. Good thing this is pre-recorded, not live, innit?
Yeah, I know.
How do I get that back up? Okay, so that's us talking about Toro Rosso. Now let's move on. So we've gone through the pretty much all the teams, haven't we? We've got two more to
Too late.
go.
Yeah.
Take your pick of the two that we've got left. Let's
Should we
go.
go with? I've got more for Renault than Williams.
Let's go with. Let's go with. I'll tell you what. Let's not leave them to the last this time round. Let's go with Williams this time round.
You want to go with Williams?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Right.
I do.
So Williams, as reported on the last podcast, they took Kubica's chassis back and then laser scanned it to see what the difference is between his car, his chassis, and Russell's chassis. They couldn't find anything wrong with it, but in the test after Bahrain they did a test.
Yes.
Russell drove his chassis and said, "I can feel something different as compared to his car." Obviously, at Spain, Kubica got the new chassis, and Russell took one of his. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So read into that what you want to read into that. They did. They were testing. They bought some new parts. I know they were focused. They found an issue with the brakes or something apparently. So I know they bought a new brake part to the test.
Mm-hmm.
But they were focusing on. They've bought a few other test parts, but I'm not sure what they bought because they're quite secretive as to what they brought out.
Mm-hmm.
But they were focused. They brought these test parts out. Obviously, they would have run a car with all the test parts on, and then run a car without the test parts on, and then they would have got the data. And they're focusing on the data from that test.
Mm-hmm.
But the parts they did bring were mainly mechanical. So I know that they're focusing. They've got an issue with the brakes or something wrong with the brakes. They've probably got the worst brakes in the grid, I would guess.
Yeah.
So they need to obviously they've got the worst aero as well. But obviously they've got a decent engine. They've got a Mercedes engine, but everything else is just not good.
Absolutely. I mean, the car itself, it's got a lot of drag on it, and it doesn't have a lot of downforce, so it is an unpredictable car. Yet they did seem to do a little bit better here in Spain, but not as good as you'd expect. They're still back of the grid. They're still trailing. Was it 2 laps down? 1 lap down they were after the safety car.
They were lapped after 19 minutes.
Yeah. So
in the race, they were at 19 laps in, and they're getting lapped.
So it's horrendous what they're going through at this precise moment in regards to what's happening on the grid. It's just if 3 or 4 years ago they were challenging for podiums.
I think they were. It's harsh to say this, but maybe they were overachieving when they were challenging for podiums. Maybe with their budget, because they were privateer. They probably don't have £300 million a year to spend like the top teams do, or whatever they spend. They've got a budget, and what they've done, they've got Paddy Lowe in, great,
yeah,
but he's used to working with resources and money, and that's something they don't have.
Right.
So. He's on gardening leave at the moment in time. Obviously, he still has shares in the team because obviously that's what happens when you get a high thing. I think you get some shares in the company. So he's got some shares in the company.
Yep.
In Williams, but obviously he's on gardening leave, and they've come out and said, they've come out and said, I found this online that they're gonna look within now. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna sort of go out and get somebody. So they're going to look to see what they've got in the team itself. And obviously, if they can promote somebody to that thing, go for it. Instead of bringing an outsider in who may not know how they operate.
Yeah, I saw that. They're not going to chase any new tech signings for its
Yeah,
recovery, so they recruit new senior
yeah,
technical personnel from inside.
yeah.
The bit of news that did break literally within the last hour of us being on air, so we've been on air 45 minutes, is that they have signed the Britain's leading female racing driver. That's
Yeah.
Jamie Chadwick, is now part of their racing development.
Oh,
It's now a racing
nice.
development. It's on their driver academy as a test and development driver to support the F1 operation.
That's good to that's good to see that a female driver's in Formula One.
Yeah, so
Uh, You, uh,
it's
I know they've got their own series, but
so
I
what.
think if they're good enough, they should be in F1.
So the news that's broken, this is broken by Reuters, is
It's
that
on the BBC website as well.
all right, I've got it. That she's going to be fully immersed into a team with busy simulator programming. She'll also attend 3 European races starting at the British Grand Prix in July.
Yeah, She's actually won her race. She won the first race in the all-female W series as well.
Yep,
She
in
will she will attend 3 Grand Prix for Williams this year in the new role.
yeah, absolutely.
So she will be at the British Grand Prix in July, and as you say, Williams say she will be fully immersed into the team, both trackside and factory at Grove, alongside a busy simulator program, as well as being involved in marketing activities.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another quote coming from Deputy Principal and Acting Team Boss Kramer Williams. Promoting women in sports, motorsports is extremely important, and having a female role model as part of our driver academy will hopefully inspire young girls to take up racing at a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. We hope to show that motorsport is inclusive and exciting, but that as a driver or on the engineering side. So yeah.
Exactly, and if she's quick enough, hopefully she get. If she's quick enough, and I'm not saying we don't know. I've only seen her against. Obviously, she's only racing against females at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
If she's quick enough,
Yeah,
hopefully she gets a race in F1.
absolutely,
They
absolutely.
deserve it.
Everyone,
Deserve it.
Formula One shouldn't just be an all-male dominated sport. There's a lot
No.
of good female talent on the other
Yeah.
side. There's a lot of women who are high up who go to races who are on the engineering side. We just need to see some of them come through onto the driver's side and compete on the same platform.
Susie Wolf was a level one. Susie
Yeah.
Wolf.
Yeah.
She was the first one to get a thing. Obviously, unfortunately, she didn't get a seat. But if they're quick enough, take her. I wouldn't say take a risk. You take a risk if you side an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
That nobody's heard of. Why
Yeah.
not just say, I'll tell you what, I'll give you. Or if you can't decide between the two of them, just go, right, what if you take a test? What if you take a test?
Yeah.
And then we decide that way.
That's true. So
That's my sensible thinking anyway.
So that's Williams done. Let's look at your favourite team, Renault, and
And where's it all gone wrong for Renault? Where's it all gone wrong? Just a question, because obviously they were the fourth best team last year, and on qualifying averages before Spain, they were the 9th quickest team.
I'm just thinking that they've become a little bit over complacent. They're seeing what Haas do every year, thinking McLaren have dropped off with Racing Point and Force India fiasco. Toro Rosso, they probably thought the Honda engine's nowhere near as good. I think they've just been over complacent, and they've gone, yeah, we've got this one in the bag.
They admitted, they said, I can't remember, somebody said from Renault about Toro Rosso, it's really strange to see them do really well with a car without a lead designer. Because obviously
true.
James Key was on his way to McLaren, wasn't he, at the
Yeah.
time? So he wasn't even working for them. They said it's quite strange that obviously they're doing really well. But on the qualifying averages before Spain, if they improved their car by 0.4, then they would be the fifth quickest team. That's how close that midfield is.
So 0.4, so that's the fifth quickest team behind. Is that behind McLaren?
No, it would be behind Haas. Haas have been the
Haas.
fourth quickest car. McLaren have been the fifth quickest. So it would put them just ahead of McLaren in that sense.
The thing is, now they've fallen behind, they're going to have a tough time catching up with Haas and McLaren, because McLaren, let's face it, the other teams, bar Racing Point, they're going to be developing all the time.
Oh yeah, and so have Renault, to be honest. But obviously, if Renault have a bigger budget than Haas, you have to say Haas have done a better job. And I know people go, oh, well, they buy their bits in. Yeah, that's fine if they want to buy the bits in. They've come into the sport and gone, okay, we want to go into F1 because they do a lot of American sport. They go into F1, try and grow the brand. This is our budget. This is what we're going to do, and they've stuck to it. And I've got no problems with that, to be honest. We want to see teams in F1. We need to see more teams in F1.
Yeah,
I think anyway. There should be enough money in the system to get another team, maybe 2 teams on the grid.
well,
There's enough drivers out there.
Yeah, having a look at budgets at this precise moment. I mean, Ferrari, they've got budget of $410 million. So they're top. Mercedes, $400 million. Red Bull, 310. McLaren, 220. Renault, 190. Williams.
This is for 2018, yeah.
2019.
I've got 2018.
Oh, sorry, yeah, this was 2018 one. So these aren't going to be too far off of what's going to happen.
No, it's not.
Renault probably increased their budget a little bit since the 2018 one. Toro Rosso 150 million, along with Williams, who have 150 million as well. Alfa Romeo 135, Haas 130 million, and Racing Point 120 million. And considering Racing Point have the least budget, they do a lot with their.
They've always overachieved, haven't they?
Yes.
Now they've got the money, can they invest it properly? Which I think they're going to do, because we've spoken about their blueprints for what they want to do. I know. Short term, they're probably going to buy bits off Mercedes, but if they're in the short term, that helps them. And I know they're going to use the Brackley wind tunnel. That helps them. Fair enough. We want to see more. I personally want to see more teams up the front end challenging for wins.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what about the upgrades? Because we are running short on time. What about the upgrades that Renault have bought this race?
Renault brought a new front wing, which Hulkenberg then damaged in qualifying. So then he started from the pit lane because of that. They brought a reasonable number of upgrades on the chassis, and they also brought a new engine or a new power unit to improve the power of the engine, obviously reliability as well. Obviously, Renault's reliability. Oh God, I can't speak. Yeah. Renault's issue is the MG UK is the keys going. It has been for ever since they came back in the sport, to be honest. So
yeah. It really has, hasn't it? So
yeah.
Did that again? Was the engine extended across to McLaren, or McLaren using the old spec engine at that point?
The plan was to get 4 engines, so that McLaren could also have 2 if needed. That was the plan. It was going to be tight, but it would be available for them if they so would.
So potentially they probably didn't use it. Did McLaren? So it was probably just Renault that ended up using it, really.
Potentially. I haven't seen anything to say that McLaren did run it, and I haven't seen anything to say, that they didn't run it.
Yeah. Just to put on here, Nico Hulkenberg was required to start from the pit lane after changing the specifications of the front wing during qualifying, and also changing the brake map parameters. He was also requested to start from the rear of the starting grid for changing multiple power unit components.
Yeah, so what happened was, if anybody watched qualifying, he turn 3, I think it was, he went wide, didn't he? That's the back end. Just touched the tyre wall, and then it knocked off the wing and damaged the wing.
Right.
So when he got back, Renault did a great job of getting it replaced, the nose and front wing replaced, and turning it back out, but he wasn't quick enough. Then it turns out that because it was an old spec wing, not like new spec wing, he would then start from the pit lane. And while he was in the pit lane, he decided to give him a new engine and a new part.
Right, okay. No problem.
Into the system. And McLaren did use the upgraded F1 engine, apparently.
Oh, they did they?
According to Motorsport and also Autosport.
Right. Okay. No problems. So that kind of explains that kind of explains the whole grid
Yeah.
and the upgrades that have happened there. Let's go through the 2 days of testing. What kind of what notable things did you notice from the testing days there?
Okay, so day one, the quickest driver was a Mercedes driver in Bottas, and he did a 1:15.5, which was 0.1 slower than his qualifying lap, but he was on a set of tyres that they didn't use at Spain.
Right. Okay. So on a set.
However, in the afternoon, they also went back out on the same tyres,
Right.
and this is because when we go to Monaco, these tyres will be available in Monaco. So
So
they wanted to get some prep work done ready for Monaco.
right. Okay.
They also did 131 laps, Mercedes,
Did they?
on day one, yes.
That's impressive.
It is impressive. Not as impressive as Lafiti. Oh, I can't say his name now. Latifi. I've just
We'll go with it. We'll go with it. Anyone wants to correct
Yeah,
us, they know where to correct us.
yeah. He did 133 laps in the
Right.
Williams.
Wow.
In a Williams. But
100.
his best lap time. You ready for this?
Go
Now,
on.
I would say before I do it, he was on the C2 white tyres. Yeah.
Yeah.
His fastest lap. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
You sat down. You sat down. Yeah.
I've always sat down on these podcasts. Yeah.
1 minute 20.670. So 5.1 seconds slower than Mercedes, who are on the fastest tyre. They were on the fastest tyre, which is probably 2 seconds quicker than what they were on.
Well, let's put that into context because I'm having a look at the data from the Spanish Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton got the fastest lap on the Spanish Grand Prix and a 1 minute 18.492 on lap 54. Now that would have had a significant amount of fuel in it as well. So
What
it's
did you say 1:18.4?
1:18.4 was the fastest lap
Okay,
of the Grand Prix.
so
So it's
uh,
2.2 seconds slower than
yeah,
what Hamilton did.
Norris did a 1:18.5. He only did 44 laps, but he did 1:18.5 on the yellow tyres, C3 tyres, in the test.
Wow. So that shows, doesn't it?
Yep.
And
Whereas
Hamilton would have
racing,
done the fastest lap on the yellow tyres as well.
yeah, Racing Point, Haas with Fittipaldi, Sainz on the C2, Gasly, Hulkenberg on the C3 yellow tyres were all quicker, and even Kvyat on the C4 red tyres was quicker. Kvyat did a 1:17.6. I know we shouldn't be looking to times, but these times
No,
look pretty good.
they do, don't they?
They look pretty good. Also, we should say that Alpha had to do some work because Callum, I'm going to butcher his name, Aloitori from the Ferrari Drive Academy was driving and he suffered a spin. He had a trip for the gravel trap and then he crashed it, and then he crashed heavily on the outside of turn 3.
Hmm.
It caused significant damage to the left-hand side of the car, so he then didn't go out in the afternoon.
Right. Okay.
Gasly also stopped on the inside of the track next to the pit wall. He said that it was a transmission problem.
Oh. Well, good thing it's just testing, but even so, that's still going to hit the cars really.
Pirelli testing was done by Perez and Vettel on day one.
Right. Okie dokes. So that kind of wraps it up, really, doesn't it? If I'm
It
honest.
does.
So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much, Henry, for coming along and joining
Thank
me
you.
today. We are back on Saturday for the recording. It's 7:30 till 9:30 this week for the recording of the next episode of the podcast, which is the Spanish Grand Prix roundup and the Monaco Grand Prix free practice and qualifying, along with Henry's half hour of news. Probably half an hour because we've got to fit it in.
I've got some track news as well.
Okay, squeeze it in quickly, mate.
As you can tell, we go to 4 continents. There's only one continent we don't go to. That's Africa. There is talk of us going to say us. F1 going. They've been approached by Marrakesh to take a Grand Prix there. They may have to do, if they do go out there, they could potentially do a short-term deal with South Africa, so go out there for 2 or 3 years. But that's just a breaking story kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Yes. So we'll discuss a bit further on Saturday, I think. So
yes,
yeah,
yes, we will.
perfect. So my thanks to Henry.
Thank you.
If you'd like to find out more, we have a Twitter page. It's at Turn One Podcast. We also have a Facebook page, Turn One Podcast. That's now live. We also have an email address, podcastturn1@gmail.com, because I nearly forgot my email address there, which is always a good thing to do. We are getting our podcast. We've got it on iTunes. We are going to get it on Spotify by hopefully the end of this week. And I am going to, at some point over the next couple of weeks, get a website, a Turn One Podcast website going as well. But from all of us here, the next time we are on is Saturday, 7:30 to 9:30. Please join us then. But from all of us here, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.